one extraordinarily bright spot, and that was here in Mesa, Arizona. And the Turning Point Action Team led the charge on that. The grassroots rose up and ousted in a really difficult scenario Spilsbury, who was the Republicans for Kamala leader in the state of Arizona. So Tyler Boyer, why don't you tell us the backstory there?
Yeah, I mean, this was covered by the New York Times. I'm dropping in the chat if we want to throw it up. Politico brought this up. This is a huge race. So essentially what happened was the face of Republicans for Kamala. So you want to talk about Soros type funded ventures. You had this entire mind whatever you want to call it, that happened in 2020 and 2024, where they funded these fake Republicans for Biden, and then later became Republicans for Harris, or conservatives for Harris, in all the key swing states. So the face of this organization, in many ways, was the mayor of Mesa, Arizona. His name was John Giles. He got termed out, and so it was done this last year. And his former vice mayor, Julie Spilsbury, who both were LDS, both were Mormon, and they were running as the face of this national operation that was abandon Trump if you're Republican and vote against him in 2024. He spoke at the DNC. She was very vocal. She was on advertisements, with, espousing, her elected position, that she should be trusted. And this is like Alinsky Tactics 101, is use all these things to try to persuade kind of the more feeble voter, the people that don't know as much going on, and saying, oh, everybody's voting against Trump, and so therefore I should too. All
right. So what are the lessons here from this local race that we can extrapolate to the national scene?
So this is the heart of these types of psyops, some people call them, these type of things that happen within politics, are at the heart of how they control the narrative around these elections. So we ran, we didn't run it, the grassroots ran it. We supported it fully, was removing this person from office. To recall or remove someone from office is one of the most difficult things that you can do within politics. But this is so important to do when people try to run these type of operations. And it was hard work. You have to go out, recruit all of the people to do it. You have to collect the petitions and then ultimately win the election. This lady last year, the significance of this in Arizona, this is one of the biggest cities in America. It's like top 35 cities.
This is actually, Maricopa is like the 5th largest metro area all in. I know not Mesa specifically, but people need to understand how big this is.
It's the 4th largest metropolitan area in the country, and the Phoenix metro area, so Phoenix Mesa is usually how it's referred to, is the most conservative out of the big metro areas. So this is like target number 1 for the Democrats to topple. The Democrats want to turn Maricopa County blue for obvious reasons. We all know all of the hanky-panky that's gone on with elections and everything else. That's getting somewhat corrected, not fully as much as we would like, but getting in there. This is the prime target number 1. And so this is why they choose people like this to lead the face of these type of operations. And this is why it's so important to remove these people from office, because it's the heart of it.
They would recruit a Mormon to do this too. So I just want to I want to crystallize this for everybody. This is a recall election where it's an R versus an R. That's the toughest type of election to educate a population that's kind of checked out. It's an off-cycle, off-year election. Which R am I choosing, right? And so you have to then do the grassroots work, the door knocking, in order to get this over the top. And
because one, this is how they do it, right? So one is like a fraudulent Republican that has the backing of all the Democrats.
Yeah, it's a Republican for Kamala.
Yeah, it's all the backing of all the Democrat Party. So basically, to win this election, you have to overcome the establishment. Some people refer it to as the uniparty. And then you have to also tackle the Democrat Party.
Yeah, because they're not going to run a Democrat in this district because it's so conservative. So they're putting a wolf in sheep's clothing to come and do this in a place like Mesa.
Yeah, and because they're trying to flip Mesa, right? Yeah. Like they're over time they want to make Mesa blue, and so they've been fairly successful at this in years past. And you're basically, even in a place where it's 60% Republican, that's like this district. This district's like 50, 55, 60% Republican. But again, it's like 30+%, 40% Democrat. You have to, again, win basically all the Republicans, educate all the Republicans to vote against her. So yesterday, that was the huge bright spot, was this leader. This was a national leader in a swing state, a national leftist leader in a swing state.
Let me just back that up. There was Axios, there was Politico, there was New York Times. They were all out here on a city council race.
Following everything.
He's following everything. They're calling everybody, like harassing everybody on the team, trying to make this a national referendum, because what they were hoping was that we were going to fail and that Julie Spilsbury was going to be reelected and we're going to see, oh, this is another referendum on Trump. Well, it didn't work out that way. And Turning Point Action, I mean, hat tip to you guys. You guys were on this from the jump. I mean, it was spearheaded by the grassroots. Right. And people were like, well, why are you getting so involved? It's like, well, listen, our grassroots wants to be involved in this. We're going to have their backs. We're going to be a voice for the grassroots and the muscular class. We're not going to let this just go unnoticed and unresolved here. So of course we're going to support the grassroots.
And of course, this is Charlie cared a lot about making Phoenix and Arizona as conservative, as Republican as possible.
Of course.
And
well, you have to
look at how they react. Politico has a headline a few days ago. This is like the first test of Turning Point as an actual,
they wanted
muscle in politics.
You have to, Blake, in order to flip the state, because as Phoenix goes, the Phoenix metropolitan area goes, Arizona goes. As Arizona goes, statistically, the presidency goes.
Yeah, and
so
also
when people don't realize this, is that these things are so critical, because if you lose them, it emboldens the left to spend millions more dollars in your swing state to win the next big election. Mm-hmm. Today, the Democrats woke up going, wow, they mean business. Maybe we shouldn't invest the millions more dollars into that state next election cycle because it's not worth it. We need to come up with a different strategy to win in 2028. That is exactly what we want them to do.
Well, if you run the models, it's like, what is it? Like 70% of the Democrat models to win a nationwide presidential race go through Arizona.
That's right.
So if you break the back of the Democrat Party in this state, you demoralize them and you let them know, like, hey, there's a new sheriff in town we're not going to be messed with, and we're going to pour a ton of resources and manpower into this state. Well, guess what? Their models get a lot trickier, a lot more difficult. And so that's why we are not going anywhere in the state of Arizona. As a matter of fact, Tyler, it's safe to say we are doubling, tripling down in the future. Yes, sir?
That's right. And we have more on this. I think we should share some of these videos after we come out of the break here.
Yeah, well, it's going to be pretty great. We could do, let's go 290 real quick.
Yeah, look, people are always saying that they wish they had better candidates that would run for office. I don't think that's true, because when good people run for office just because I want to serve my community, and then this is what happens to me, why would anyone want to run when you have groups like Turning Point that can go out there and put up thousands of signs?
Too bad, so sad.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.